Rao had previously been married to another woman who passed away in 1908. They had no children. So Schwittay went looking for Rao, but he did not have to look far, because Rao walked into the funeral parlor that same morning and said that he had heard the news that Anna was dead. Rao was immediately placed under arrest for showing up at the funeral parlor. He denied killing Anna, saying they went their separate ways after drinking and then he went home. He knew nothing of the crime until he was told the next morning. Rao admitted that the two were intimate, and whatever that means in 1911, I don't know. So take it for whatever you want. When police searched his house that he shared with his mother, they found clothes stained with blood, which Rao insisted was not blood, but were stains from painting. He's like, I'm a painter. That's paint. They also confiscated razor blades. Although they were clean, they were not bloody razor blades. Rao's mother said that he had slept downstairs the night before, apparently covering for him, because the clothes were upstairs. But he admitted that he was sleeping upstairs, so his mother didn't do him any favors.
I want to see if you can correct me on this, but I find, because to me, the fact that he says, oh, that's not blood on that clothes, that's actually paint.
Mm-hmm.
To us today, that's like ludicrous, because of course they can just test it and see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Did they really have a way that they could test that, you think? Because this is what, 1911?
1911. Yeah, I'm so glad you asked, because we're going to talk about that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Police did not know why Rao would have killed Anna. They had no public fight that anybody saw. There was really no clear motive, but he was the obvious, suspect. The district attorney also ordered the arrest of Joseph Marlo, just based on rumors that he had been verbally abusive to his estranged wife the last time they were together. He was found a week later, but he had an alibi, so it was definitely not her estranged husband. Rao appeared before Judge L.M. Evert, who had him held without bond for first-degree murder. The prosecutor was not around, so no plea was taken right away, and the matter was adjourned for a few weeks. Rao immediately retained an attorney and declined to talk about the case publicly. He maintained his innocence. So investigators sent the bloody clothes out to see if they could find whether the stains were actually paint or blood, and if they were blood, were they from an animal or a human?
So they must have had a way to do this then.
Yes. They felt that the paint was unlikely, and the reason they felt paint was unlikely is, why would he have fresh paint on his clothes if he was on a date the night before? No man in his right mind would wear dirty paint clothes to a date. Which is sound logic.
Yeah.
I mean, well done. So at this time, they had what was called and I'm going to really mispronounce this, the Uhlenhuth test? Oh, someone's going to get me on that one. Which is also known as the antigen-antibody precipitin test for species, which was invented in 1901 and could distinguish human blood from animal blood with a few different proteins that separate people from other animals. The test would continue to be refined up to the 1960s. So in 1911, it was still kind of new. It was not as refined as it is today. But yeah, to get to your point, like in 1911, they're still like, they got to run serious tests, and it's even not 100% conclusive. If this is blood, is it from a person? Is it from an animal? What kind of blood is this?
We don't really know.
So they sent them to Dr. Ludwig Hechten of Chicago. He received the samples. He sent back his results. The stains, he said, were human blood. There was no firm way at this time to tell if two blood samples came from the same person, but he did his best to try to match them up. Meaning, in this case, like, say for some reason, Rao is wearing clothes, he cuts himself and he bleeds on his own clothes.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a way to determine if that's his blood or her blood or whose blood it is. They don't have blood typing. They obviously don't have DNA. So, if you got blood on your clothes and somebody near you's just died, like, that's looks pretty bad, but it's not as conclusive as it is today. So this Dr. Ludwig Hechten, by the way, he was originally from Westby, Wisconsin, from a Norwegian family. I don't really know where Westby is, but he was a leading expert and pioneer on such things as blood typing, and really, like, they could not have got a better expert on this because he's got his own Wikipedia page. Like this, it's like, yeah, like he's got a fairly lengthy Wikipedia page on all the blood science that he did. So this guy in his day was a big deal. While in jail, Rao was visited by his barber. The barber was not allowed to shave him, and he told the press that Rao's face was looking awful. Rao also made news in September of 1911 when it was reported that he was nursing his cellmate Edward Martin, who had a throat infection. Edward Martin was an alderman in Marinette who was in jail because he had purposely derailed a train. So the Marinette City Council is awesome too.
Dude, yeah. There's a lot of corruption going on.
There's
here.
some stuff going on in Marinette. I don't know. The case went to trial in October. Again, unfortunately, because the Marinette newspapers are not online, I had to kind of rely on surrounding newspapers. So there's probably some really juicy stuff in the Marinette newspapers that I just can't get without driving to Marinette. So they're not in here. Rao took the stand in his own defense and said he thought Anna was divorced. She wasn't, although she was separated. He said that they weren't engaged, contrary to rumors, and he was with her only a few times. The claim that he was jealous of her was silly, as he did not have that strong of an emotional link to her. He also testified that the food in the county jail was doped and affected the prisoner's brains and eyes. He said sometimes after eating the food in the jail, it would feel like our faces were falling off. He said, I talked to the other people in jail who were having the same effects, and we determined that the dope was in the coffee and the tea, so we stopped drinking the coffee and the tea. They called Sheriff Schwittay up to the stand just for a moment, and he's like, yeah, we didn't poison the jail food. That's not a thing. They called Joseph Marlo to testify. Again, his alibi was strong enough that, he obviously was not the killer, but he didn't look good. The defense really tried to make him look like the bad guy. Within 3 weeks of his wife being murdered, he got remarried to another woman.
But I mean, that's not horribly because they were separated for a considerable amount of time. They were, right?
They were, but the defense tried to, even though his alibi is very strong, they tried to push it, the story that, oh, you killed your separated wife so you could get married to your next wife. Like that's the angle they're trying to get, which is solid. I guess
seemed reasonable. It probably much stronger of an defense back then because people would actually do that because divorce was so frowned upon, I would think.
Yeah, and it's what's weird. So he's on the stand and he actually says that he did not meet his current wife until after the murder. So they met and got married within a couple weeks. Which I mean, I'm not calling him a liar, but that sounds even weirder than saying that he had previously known her. So, whatever. After deliberating for 2 hours, the jury found Rao guilty of murder in the first degree. The defense filed a motion for a new trial. Rao said the reason that he needed a new trial was, I don't seem to find myself guilty. The judge said that the jury disagreed with him and the conviction would stand.
I don't need I need another trial because I just don't feel like I'm guilty.
Yeah. So that was that part was the part that was going to be this episode, but it's not. So
there's more to this guy, the Schmittay guy.
Yeah,
we're gonna.
We'll go back to Sheriff Schwittay now. After this trial, Sheriff Schwittay is now charged with improper conduct while sheriff. Specifically, he was said to have submitted bills for services that had actually been done by the Marinette chief of police.